Hello, all my artists. Are you guys ready to draw some pumpkins with me? Let's get started. I'm going to start with my first pumpkin, and I know I'm going to make a few of them, so I'm not going to make it really huge because I want to make like a pumpkin patch with a few pumpkins. When I draw my pumpkins, I'm going to start with kind of a skinny oval, which seems funny because a pumpkin is much bigger than that, but the pumpkin has these segments and it has bumps, and that's going to be one of them. I'm going to come next to it. I'm going to curve up and down and connect it. Same thing on this side. And I'm going to do the same thing here from the top up and down and connect it. And there I have my pumpkin. It'll need a stem. The stem is wider on the bottom and a little smaller at the top. So I'm going to go up and connect it. And there I have my pumpkin. Remember I said we're going to make more than one. So you can get your paper and pencil and you can follow along. We're going to make some more pumpkins. All right, so I've got a lot of pumpkins, right? And some of them are smaller. Some of them are smaller because they're farther away. And when things are farther away, they look smaller. But right now, I've just got pumpkins floating in space. We need to put our pumpkin somewhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw some lines going from one side to the paper to the other. That's horizontally, like a horizon line, where the land meets the sky, but where I'm going to make a bunch of these horizontal lines that make it look like the pumpkins are growing in a field. Okay, so you're going to follow along and draw some field lines with me. Now these lines they shouldn't be perfectly straight. It's outside in a pumpkin patch. It's kind of bumpy and maybe grassy and stuff like that. So no straight lines. All right, so now you can see I've got my pumpkin growing in a field. I even added some little zigzag lines here and there to make it look like there's grass. You can add other details. You could add maybe a tree. You could add a barn back here. I think I'm going to add a tree. I really like drawing trees, and I'm going to make one way back here. Remember what I said, when things are far away, they're not that big. So I'm just going to do a tree back here. It looks like a letter Y, right? And I know I've talked to a lot of you guys about how you can use that letter Y to make some trees. All right, so here's my tree. It's not very big because it's far away. It is a fall tree, so I have some leaves on it, but it's not filled with leaves. I might even have some leaves kind of falling onto the ground. That might be a nice detail. Some leaf piles. All right, so I've got my tree here. Now, if I wanted another tree, which maybe I do, maybe I'll stick it over here, and it's going to be a little bigger because it's closer. All right, so I'm just going to go over this line, and I'll erase that. And this tree is going to be off to the side, so I don't see all of it. But here's a branch. Again, it looks like a little bit like a letter Y. If you look at the trees, when the leaves start to fall, I bet you can find lots of letter Ys. And I'm going to erase this line. All right, and I might add some leaves, and just little oval shapes that have a point to them can be leaves. Really, what happens is once you start to add some really nice fall colors, they'll even look more like leaves. I might make some lines along my tree. All right, so you can add more details. You could add things in the sky. Like I said, you could put a barn. You could even add some little animals, a little squirrel or something like that would be super cute. So I'm going to leave mine like this, and I'm going to show you some ideas for coloring it so you can follow along. Okay, I got some crayons. I am going to trace my picture out. You don't have to, but you can. I think I like the tracing because it makes things stand out. All right, so I'm going to be tracing my picture. Okay, I've got it all traced. I am going to, what I like about tracing too is sometimes as I trace things, I realize I want to change the way I drew it. So I just go over with the marker, and then I'm going to go with my eraser. I'm going to erase any of my little pencil lines that I see. Okay, I'm ready to color. So what I've done is I looked for some colors I thought would be good for my pumpkin patch, and I picked some oranges and some yellows and some greens and a little bit of brown. So I'm going to use both the orange and the yellow for my pumpkin. What I'm going to do is I am going to color the outside parts of each section of my pumpkin more with the orange. And then where the sun might be on the pumpkin a little more, I'm going to add a little bit of a yellow. And if I do that to each section, it's going to come out pretty nice. And it's going to look like the sunlight is making my pumpkin glow a little bit. Now, this, I've made it just as like a fall pumpkin scene, okay? Like a pumpkin patch. If you are in the mood to and you celebrate Halloween and you want to make this have some Halloween aspects to it, you totally can. You could make any of these pumpkins a jack-o'-lantern by making a face on them, and you're totally welcome to. If you want to add some little spooky elements to your picture, like bats in the sky or witches or things like that, go right ahead, but you don't have to. I'm going to keep mine a fall scene for right now. I'm going to use some green for my stem, and I'm going to continue to color it. What I do want to just show you is I did continue making some leaves because I thought I didn't have enough down here. I thought it looked a little boring. So I'm imagining it was windy and the leaves came down here. The leaves here are bigger because they're closer, and the leaves back here are smaller because it's farther away. All right, so I'm going to continue with my coloring. So you can see on some of the pumpkins, I'm doing a dark and a light orange instead of an orange and yellow. So you could switch it up. You don't have to use exactly the same colors as I am using, okay? I just decided to use that. And I did this a dark green. The next layer, I'm gonna make a different shade of green, so they're not all the same. Usually what happens when things are closer to you, they also look a little bit darker or brighter, and they stand out more. And as they go away, the colors kind of fade and get a little lighter. So you could always try that too with your picture. The other thing that you can add are some vines. Pumpkins grow on vines. So if you want to do some vines with some leaves on them, you totally can. Okay, I'm just making off the stem little looping lines. All right. And if you want to make it look like they were growing on them, you can attach them one to the other if you want to. They have the stem coming off and the vine coming off the top. So I'm going to add a few little vines with some looping lines and some little leaves. So you can always add that too. All right, so I've got my ground, my pumpkins, some trees. I need a sky. Now, could you put something in your sky? You absolutely can put something in your sky. You could put whatever you want in your sky. You could make a sun. You could make some other leaves floating around. You can make lines that look like wind. Maybe I'll do a couple of wind lines. Like it's a windy day. You could do birds, you could do bats. Then you're going to color your sky. Does your sky have to be blue? Nope, your sky does not have to be blue. If you look at the sky different times a day, you will see lots of different colors. So choose whatever colors you want to make your sky. All right, there we have my pumpkin patch. I can't wait to see yours.